Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Developing Young Workforce and Creative Dundee Creative Teach Meet. This is the first time that we have done anything of this scale for creative industries, so we're very, very excited. Dundee in particular is an up-and-coming hub for creative industries, so it's a bit crazy that it's taken us 2 years to do something of this scale, but we've started now and there is no stopping us. The purpose behind Developing Young Workforce is to get education and industry to work closer together. Industry of any type is going to start hiring these young people in the next 5 to 10 years. We want to make sure that these young people are prepared for the world of work, that industry doesn't have to struggle to get them ready. So we are taking the best of industry, as you will see tonight, and bringing that information to young people, to education, so that we can start building in these experiences, this knowledge, these qualifications now, so that when they leave education, whether that is secondary school, college, university, master's degree, PhD, a modern apprenticeship, foundation apprenticeship, or a graduate apprenticeship, they are ready for the world of work. So this evening is all about chatting to local creative industries professionals and getting their insights, hearing about their journeys, so that teachers who have joined us from all over Dundee and Angus tonight can take that information back into the classrooms. We are also live streaming this event, so there might be teachers up in the Orkneys and down at the borders taking information from tonight as well. We are incredibly lucky to have these opportunities. Anyone who is watching on the live stream, please get in touch on social media using the hashtag CreativeTM. We will try to answer any questions you might have, and we're all going to have an amazing night. Thank you very much. I'm going to invite Gillian Eason from Creative Dundee, who is our co-producer tonight, up to lead you in. Thank you.
Hello. That's a way to make an entrance. So my name's Gillian, I'm from Creative Dundee, and what we do at Creative Dundee is help amplify and connect what's happening across the city creatively, and we've been doing that for about 10 years, and it's a very small team doing that. So what we do is, essentially, we've got a website, we've got a lot of events that we run like this, and then we work with partners to help move the city in a direction that creative businesses, creative practitioners, artists, designers want to base themselves in. And as Rachel said, it is an incredibly creative city. We're really lucky. And although it's a very small city, there's so much going on, and we're well aware that it doesn't just stop at the city boundaries. It very much carries on across Angus and into Fife and Perthshire as well. So I believe that we've got people from across Dundee and Angus. What schools have we got represented tonight? Does anybody want to shout out? Baldragon, excellent. Webster's, hi. Moneyfeith, hi. St Paul's. Morgan, excellent. My school. Any more? Craigie, Arbroath Academy. Montrose, excellent. Sorry. Brave U as well, brilliant. Any more takers? No. Wow. How does that feel as a teacher shouting out in your class? I don't know. But yeah, thanks very much. I think the idea is that we'll get some time after the speakers just to kind of meet each other as well afterwards, but it's always helpful to find out who else is in the room. So we run a thing called Pechakucha Night, which started in Tokyo in 2003 and now runs in 1,000 cities around the world. And Pechakucha is all about, well, it means small talk or chit-chat in Japanese. And it was invented by an architecture practice that wanted to keep architects to time, but I think it applies for a lot of other people as well. So we've been running it in the city for the last 8 years, and it's just a really brilliant way of hearing lots of different views about any subjects at all. So we've invited a range of speakers from the creative industries to speak to you tonight. But first of all, I just wanted to mention that we also led the development of Dundee's first creative industry strategy, so very much in partnership with the sector and those who represent it as well. I'm just aware that we've got people up there. Hello. Hiya. Welcome. Yeah, we created this over a 2-year period very much co-designed with the city about what are the things that we need to do to improve the city and the surrounding region to help make sure that more people can base, grow and sustain their creative practice in the city. So I just wanted to put that quote up because I really love it. It was by somebody who contributed to it. And I think collectively, whether you are from Dundee and Angus College, whether you're a teacher from one of the amazing schools across the region, or whether you're from the Developing Young Workforce team or us at Creative Dundee, we're all about what's next. And we can't kind of pinpoint it, but we can create the conditions for whatever is next to emerge. And that's what I'm really excited about being here tonight as well. So as I say, we've got some brilliant speakers who aren't nervous at all. And one of the big things about Petra Kucha Nights is when we run them is that as an audience member, you have to clap heartily because it's actually quite a big thing to come on and do it. So I'll just explain the format. Basically, it's 20 by 20. So you have 20 images and you have 20 seconds per image. You get 6 minutes 40 in total, and it's really fast and furious. So your job as a participant is to kind of enjoy it, hopefully be inspired, sit back, take it in, and hopefully, go away with something really good at the end of it. So that's that. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our first speaker up. So if you can join me in welcoming Erin Stevenson, who's an artist and animator.
Hello. Oh, here better? Okay. Hi. Okay, so as Gillian said, I'm Erin Stevenson. I'm a 3D character artist and animator at a company called Puny Astronaut. We've been working on our first game here, Sky, for about the past 2 years now. Going back to the beginning, I'm not really too sure where specifically I started my love of games. I've always been playing them right from the N64. I've always had the kind of, not to brag, but I've always had the kind of next console coming up right up until maybe the Xbox or something like that. But there was never really any sort of transition for me. Even going around to friends' houses, I'd like watch their big brothers and sisters, play different kind of scary games and things like that. And there was one girl in particular who was also a great artist. She was always drawing the characters from her games, and eventually, she started to make her own creations. And I wanted to copy her. I wanted to be like her. And my mum really, really encouraged that behaviour. I was always drawing the cartoons and the characters from these games and from other cartoons in my life. So as far as games go, I understand that there's this sort of thing of, girls don't really play games and girls, that's not really for girls. But I never had that in my life. I always had these strong female characters to kind of push me forward. But when it came to high school for me, drawing these cartoons didn't really fit in with the curriculum, I guess. It might do now, but I didn't really get into portraiture. I couldn't really find my feet with landscapes and things like that. So I actually found that I loved maths and physics. I loved that sort of kind of black and white to it, coming out with a definite answer. And I could really put my brain to these problem-solving activities. Computing, on the other hand, not so great. I don't know why, could not tell you. But math and physics was where I excelled. In saying that though, we did get a stop-motion animation course in our school. Very, very lucky in that respect. It was only about a week long, and I learned the ins and outs of how to make your own stop-motion film. And I think by the end of it, I had a little 30-second clip. But from then, that's kind of what became my goal. I started forming a portfolio and really, really looking for lots of different courses. When it came to my grades, as I said, art and computing wasn't really, I failed them. But math and computing, I did really, really well. And I knew that I could get somewhere with that. So I really started looking hard all across Scotland. There's so many different kind of animation courses. And anything that kind of gave a brief kind of hint that it might do animation, I completely went for. And it wasn't until maybe towards the end of my applications that a girl was saying that she was going to go to Dundee because that's where games kind of were made. And it was like, people make games? I thought they were kind of this sort of, I don't know, natural phenomenon until that point. So I went to Abertay, and going from failing computer and art, I have an honours in computer arts, which I can't even put words to how much joy that brings me. But rolling things back a little bit, I've talked about my educational life, but where I actually kind of went as a professional. In third year of our course, we were given this brief, and that kind of scratched that itch for me of having this black and white, this problem-solving thing. And I really, really pushed myself into game jams. There's so many game jams around Dundee. You can do them online and everything as well. And it's just like little things to add to your portfolio. And I feel like I've come a long way. My art is definitely ramped up over the past few years, just from really throwing myself into these things that I feel passionate about. And so from there, I actually joined a team in 2016 for Abertay's Dare competition. And we were able to form a company off the back of that. And we've been working on our game, as I said at the beginning, for the past 2 years now. And that's something that's amazing to me, because I went from not doing well in art to now I've created a job for myself in art and computing, just because I've gone for something that I'm really passionate about, rather than maybe necessarily what my grades have told me to go for. And yeah, we even have a new member to our team, and it's awesome. So I think that's really my takeaway from looking back at things is just do what really drives you, even if it's not, what's down on paper. But now I've even been able to start a sort of branch of the Women in Games Society up here in Dundee, and I try to help bring women from the different games industries together, and even people who are looking to get into the games industries. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Erin. That was a great start to our talks tonight. And I think it's really fascinating just hearing about the different backgrounds and routes, creative career routes into what you were doing. And yeah, maths was never my thing. But it's incredible to see that where you've come to now, and art is very much a big part of what you do on a day-to-day basis. With Puny Astronaut, I don't even know if actually we got, but Puny Astronaut, great games company based in Dundee, Erin's a key part of that team, and secured significant investment to take the game forward. So it is really brilliant to see that it's not just the big games companies in Dundee that are providing jobs and opportunities, but equally the smaller startups and emerging games companies. So thanks very much, Erin. Okay, next we're going to hear from Louise Kirby. And Louise is a designer and illustrator based in Dundee. And she produces a range of products and works to commission, also does a lot of creative learning. And I think she's probably best known for her Dundee Delights collection, which you may have seen gracing many a shop and a hotel room. So please, can you welcome Louise?
Hello. I'll wait till my slides go on. You do. Hello, so I'm Louise Kirby. As you know, I am a designer and illustrator. I've also got a textile background as well, and I'm involved in sort of education and workshops. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a journey from where I am now, and I'm going to kind of go backwards just to kind of see the steps that I've taken and the sort of different routes that I've gone down within textiles and illustration. So just now I'm creating a range of products called Dundee Delights, as Gillian said, and I'm known for sort of greetings cards. It's very local. I wanted to create something that was inspiring for tourists. I didn't think there was anything like that in Dundee, and I kind of felt there was a market for that. And I'm self-employed, so the good thing about being self-employed is that you can take opportunities, and I saw that there was the open call for the penguins, so you kind of have to go for it. And it was amazing to be part of something like that. So it allows me to get involved in different things and kind of pick and choose what I would like to do. I also work on commissions, so that might be, the examples here are for a logo for a gardening company. Now, I had never done a logo before at this time, but I'm the person that can go, yep, I can do that. So they very much liked my style and my work anyway, so I just thought, well, let's go for it and let's see what I can do. So I've created other sort of commissions, and these are some examples. And I guess these kind of things have happened for just meeting people, chatting to them, that kind of networking, but without networking, it's just people know me for the work that I've been doing. And a different route that you can kind of go down within the sort of textiles and illustration is sort of licensing your artwork. So I licensed my print of the pheasant to Anthropology, which is a big international company. So I would license that for a fee and for a set time, and then choose the areas that's going to be displayed. So going back further, so I keep changing and developing and keep kind of moving my route that I do. So I used to create hand-printed scarves. They were very kind of high-end, sold in galleries, and I sort of got to do some commissions with that. As I keep sort of kind of changing what I'm doing, I'm always kind of trying to work out where am I going next, what am I doing, because I'm quite driven to trying to continue doing what I want to do. I think that's really important. I used to do a lot of commercial textiles, so that was selling fashion prints to industry. So it's selling the copyright of designs, which is, here we've got a nice wee picture. Let's go into that. So this picture is me taking a year out, and I think that was really important because I've been working for a while, and I just thought it was great to go travelling. I think I recommend that to everybody. So before that, I was still doing the kind of freelance prints for fashion. So I would be doing it directly onto fabric. I would be coming up with lots of ideas, and you have to work pretty fast, and it's quite a quick turnaround within that market. And before that, I was working for a company down in London. That's the people who I freelanced for. So I was working in-house, and I learnt so much there, all the kind of practical stuff that I didn't learn at art college. So it was more about the mixing the chemicals, the dyeing of stuff. I got to go to Paris to the trade show, and that's where you get to see all the other design studios, which is very kind of cloak and dagger, because you're not really allowed to look to see what they're doing because everyone's designs are all hidden. So it was quite interesting to see that. I did printed textiles at art college. I absolutely loved it. I was like I don't know, when you love to do something, you would just I worked all the time. I really enjoyed what I did. So I was learning about repeat patterns. I was working to live briefs, doing competitions. So going further back, I went to Graham Street to do a portfolio course, and going further back to school, I didn't really know what a textile designer did. I didn't know what an illustrator would do. I didn't really know where I was going to go. I knew I liked art. I kind of just followed this little route. And while I was at college and at school, I always worked somewhere, and I actually think that has given me so many skills. So I worked in C&A's, where value is always in fashion, as they said. And But from doing stuff like that, that's where I was doing visual merchandising, we were doing window displays, I was doing cash handling, customer service. So I think as a business and a self-employed person, that's actually been really, really useful. I like to keep connected. This is a picture of one of the picture coochas. I think it's really important to kind of be connected and see what else is going on in the city. And I think from doing a kind of sort of creative career, or I think the creativity skills are really, really important, because I think what I've been able to do is just to keep adapting and changing. I'm really sort of flexible in what I do. I use my imagination. So it's all those kind of problem solving, all those type of creativity skills that you do. So I guess if you think that I'm an illustrator and I'm not drawing all the time, there's all the other stuff that goes with it. So I guess being self-employed, you've got to think about, I'm packing orders, I'm doing the maths, I have to make sure my products are at the right price, so I'm not working for nothing. I've got to set up my display stalls, I've got to meet customers, you've got to be friendly, and you've got to have that whole package. And I'm not always good at all these things. I don't like public speaking, but I'm standing here doing this. So I'm also involved in other projects as well. So, for instance, this is a picture from the V&A. So I kind of use my skills to run workshops as well. I also project manage some other stuff for Angus Council as well. So I guess being creative, you can kind of bend and move and merge yourself into lots of different things. So I think it's sort of really important. What was I going to say at the end? So I guess I keep driving myself because I love what I do. I'm not rich. I don't think within the creative industries you're necessarily going to make an absolute fortune, but I love what I do. I keep looking out for opportunities and trying to just keep getting involved in things. Yay!
Wow. If only I could have that much enthusiasm. Thanks so much, Louise. That was great. And I can't help it, right? But your journey from C&A to V&A to D&A. Sorry, it had to be done. So thank you very much to Louise. Next, we're going to hear from Loom. So Henry and Doug are here today. They're 2 parts of 3 parts. We're missing James today. But Loom is another... Oh, sorry. I'm spoiling the ending already. Bitloom are another small games developer based in the city and have a brilliant game called Fogs, which I'm sure we'll hear about, but we're going to hear more about their career journey. So please welcome Doug and Henry.
Hello. I am Douglas. As Gillian said, I'm 1/3 of Bitloom.
I'm Henry. I'm another third of Bitloom. We're working on our game Fogs, which is about a double-ended dog.
So we graduated like about a year and a half ago and have been working on this since then. So it's basically like a little indie cooperative game where focusing on like making people work together and cooperate, and we all basically took it to a bunch of shows after graduating and working on it and tried to secure investment, which we did. So we're currently working full-time in co-development with a larger company called CoatSync. But this is kind of like where it started as just basically like a side project that we launched in our final year of uni, because we knew we'd like worked together on other stuff throughout uni and knew that we wanted to try and start this business at the end. So that was kind of like our goal when we applied to competitions, including Abate's Dare, which ended up with us going over to LA in Indicade.
This is just like some screenshots of our screens as they could be during the day at work. So we as a small team, we have to do every single part of the game. That's level design, that is programming, that is art, that is sound, like everything. There are so many parts that go into a game. So here's just some more things to represent art and sound. generally, like, there are like a lot of other parts to making a game, like the business side, like having to try and secure funding, like talking to people and trying to trick them into giving you money for your silly dog game. So here's a picture of me trying to look my coolest in high school. I was generally a pretty big goody two-shoes in high school, and I was considered one of the smart ones. So I did a lot of science and maths and stuff like that in school, but I always tried to keep in touch with my creative side. Games have always been a pretty big part of my life. But I didn't actually know that making games is something that you could do until someone said that. So then when they said, okay, if you want to make games, you need to know maths, that I actually like started paying attention in maths. So our school had axed its computing department. So to solve that, in our 6th year, me and James, the other missing person in Bitloom, decided to start a programming club to try and teach ourselves a bit of programming. So throughout uni, I studied computer games development, computer games technology at Abertay, where I met Douglas. We made and released a very small game over one summer, and that resulted in this now.
So I was kind of different. I was always very much into like art and photography and stuff, so that was kind of like the things I focused on in my high school, but I was also did a biology A-level, which is kind of just like a random thing, but I was just super interested in it. When it came to the end of high school, I wasn't actually sure what I would possibly want to do, so I didn't actually go straight to uni. I decided to wait a bit and ended up getting a job as a graphic designer and starting a small company with my brother doing web design and like logos and that sort of thing. But kind of like throughout that, I was always knew it wasn't like exactly what I wanted to do. It like scratched an itch, but it wasn't quite there. So I've like always, even as like a kid, kind of loved games and like making worlds and stuff and done stupid doodles like that. But yeah, so eventually I finally decided that, I could make games, like that's something I could aim for. So I did apply to Abertay, and throughout my time there just kind of focused on learning basically everything I possibly could about like how to make games and like all the different skills and tools that I could. So yeah, I think I definitely wouldn't be where I am now if I had kind of like forced myself to pick and just go straight to uni afterwards. I think taking that time to actually like do some work and learn like what kind of things I'm passionate about in that regard definitely helped. And so yeah, I think another part of that is that from our business and even like throughout uni, especially working in tech, because tools and software is always changing, there's definitely like a large part of learning on the fly. So yeah, sorry.
So yeah, I think one thing it was good for me in school to try and keep a broad range of interests. So I, as well as doing like maths and science and that sort of stuff, I did music as well and art throughout the whole of high school. I think it's important that you find something that interests you, that like you can dig a bit deeper in. Like I said, I only got into maths when I found out it could be used in games, and I find it really interesting now because I can see a practical application of that maths.
And I guess I think that in school I found it was very much like creativity is like drawing and painting, which is hard. Like I get that it needs to be like graded and that sort of thing, but I think like encouraging people to experiment with everything they can to be creative and trying out different tools or software or mediums or anything that kind of like pull, like they have a pull to is definitely a good thing. I can't remember.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much to Doug and Henry. If you get the chance to play Fogs, don't do it with your best friend when you think it's a competition and not actually a collaborative game, because you could end up really falling out. But essentially you're a double-headed dog and you've got to kind of work with each other to move your dog around. It is great fun, and it's been toured around Japan and elsewhere in the world. Yeah, elsewhere in the world, coming out next year, hopefully. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Annie Mars, our second final speaker tonight. Annie is a huge part of UNESCO City of Design, so a designation that Dundee has. It's the only city in the UK that has that designation, and it allows us to be part of a huge global network around the world that includes like Helsinki through to Seoul and Bilbao and lots of other really interesting places. So Annie not only does that, because that would be silly, she does a multitude of other things and also runs her own company as well. So maybe hear a bit more about that. So please welcome Annie.
Okay, so when Gillian first asked me to do this, my immediate thought was back to my secondary school. So this is it. I went to Milburn Academy in Inverness. It doesn't look like that anymore because it went under £1 million redevelopment in 2012. But I was one of 1,000 people there. And this is me at 14 years old at high school. So I wanted to show this image because I can remember that time being constantly asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? And frankly, I didn't have a clue. But what I know now is that there were actually a few things that were influencing me at that time. The council were embedding the views of young people in a bid to be European Capital of Culture in 2008. We never even got shortlisted, but we know how positive the bidding experience can be. And my school had an immensely strong art department led by a couple of dedicated, committed teachers who were an absolute inspiration, not just to me. So my route into the arts is pretty traditional, but there's always an element of taking chance. I was a relatively good achiever when it came to grades, and it was just kind of expected that I would go to uni. I don't think I ever had a job in mind when I thought I'd go to university. I was just trying to achieve a degree. And so when the idea was planted that I could actually get an art degree, I knew that that was what I was going to do. And that idea was planted by those teachers. And for me, one of the really big challenges was to kind of fight really hard against the traditional view of my dad. He couldn't even imagine that there was even a possibility of a job at the end of an art degree. But that's because his lived experience is going into the railway at 16, and he didn't leave for 43 years. So I wanted to kind of set that context because I wanted to remind all of us that we were all teachers once. We were all teachers, no, we were all teenagers once. You're the teachers. And it was pretty scary. So I don't think I'd ever heard the words creative industries when I went to uni. I didn't know how vast the sector was, and I certainly didn't know what it had included. And like any sector, there are huge differences between the people who start out learning low wages and working long hours. That's my 2018 Edinburgh Fringe team. And those long hours never change, and they'll be able to tell you that. But someone who works in the sector needs to be committed, and there are a lot of folk that are out there who actually want it. And the rewards, if you put that energy in, can be huge. So working on or going into the creative industries shouldn't be a choice that you make if you decide that you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life, because it's not an easy option, and we need to prepare our young people properly. Because if they're going to go into this sector, if they really want to, then they could probably take over or even change the world. So I work in the bit of the creative industries that make things happen. It's fast-paced, there's lots to juggle. Sometimes it's projects, sometimes it's events, sometimes it's fundraising, often it's a report writing, but it's always championing and working with artists and designers who add value and enrich our lives. So at the moment, I'm currently a project coordinator with Dundee's UNESCO City of Design. I've worked in events, festivals, community arts, public art, volunteer organisations, the public sector, and I also run a business in the creative industries with my partner called Sweet Venues. And we produce and perform performances and run theatres and venues. And that means being flexible. And it means from everything from stepping in to run tech when staff are ill, because the show must go on, to sometimes helping out Santa when the elves don't turn up. So I kind of wanted to just get across that wealth of roles and jobs. It's it's everybody. At our Edinburgh Fringe venue, we've got a hugely talented team of artists and technicians and front of house staff who support the performers and artists. But without those people who build box office systems, who set up the sound, who film the events, who sell tickets, who can seat an audience of 100 people in less than 2 minutes, nobody would even get to see the work that any of the artists make. And this is Alex. She graduated from a theatre course in Hull. She worked front of house for us in Edinburgh and then became our ops manager for 2 years. She right now, travels the world, stage managing shows, and she just finished a show in Hong Kong, Singapore, and at the Sydney Opera House, and she's just 25. And so I realised when I was preparing this talk that I haven't actually talked about anything that I actually do. And I put in heaps of photos about things that I do in Dundee, but didn't really write anything about them. So that's Dundee Design Festival, which is just one aspect of a crazy job that we call project coordinator. Because when I was at school, nobody knew how to signpost me to the creative industries and to what that variety of roles were. But that's my old school's website, today. And there is so much more information out there and easily accessible to help our young people and their families to see the creative industries as a viable career option. So neither of these pictures are me, but I did make both the wedding dresses. And we need to do more to relate the creative industries to the events that happen in our everyday lives, like weddings, so that working in this sector is just normal. So that we raise awareness of the people who compose music for Netflix, the florists that dress sets, the people that lay cables, mix sound, cut hair, do makeup, make furniture, the catering teams, the costume designers, the printers and the graphic designers. One of my pals is an illustrator in television, and it's her job to be the hand double for actors when they're writing or drawing on a TV show. That's ridiculous. So there's zillions of opportunities, and I just wanted to share kind of last couple of images. Last week, we we gave these specially commissioned pots to our UNESCO City of Design delegates. And it kind of makes me smile to think that out there, it's somebody's job to make beautiful things, and that we should pay for it, and we should pay for it properly. And I believe that it's part of my role to make sure that we support those people so that we value the creative industries and believe in the sector and its opportunities and encourage others so that their work is out there in the world and it's there for everyone to see and for everyone to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Brilliant talk. Definitely worth checking out UNESCO's own website, UNESCO City of Design. And for all the latest news, you can also check out Creative Dundee. We've got a monthly news mail out that goes out totally free, and we just try and collate what's happening across the city and beyond. So thank you. So our last speaker of this evening is Alan McIntyre, the wonderful Alan McIntyre, who is Creative Industries producer with V&A Dundee. He again has an illustrious career behind him, and he's going to tell us a wee bit more about probably how crazy the last few weeks has been at V&A Dundee, but how he actually got there. So please welcome Alan.
So I think I was quite lucky when I was young, because from a really young age, this was me at 7, I was very aware of what I wanted to do when I grew up. I was very clear. I was going to be in the arts, I was going to be on stage, I was going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. And even at the age of 7, I managed to find my tribe. When I went to high school, which also doesn't look like this anymore, that was kind of knocked out of me a bit, because I was faced with a curriculum that absolutely did not support me in any way that I absolutely needed to. I was that annoying kid that wanted to understand, not just to be told what the answer was. And so thankfully I found drama, but then I wanted to go to university. However, I then didn't have the grades, and so found myself at Dundee College, as it was back then, and started to study dance at the Space. I was one of the first years in that building, met the Queen, just saying. And then after that decided, actually, I don't want to do musical theatre anymore. I'm really good at dancing. So I transferred to Laban in London, And again, that was when I properly found my people. These are the people who I thought, right, these are going to be with me for the rest of my life, and have been so far. But also, I realised that I was a tiny fish in a really giant pond. But it also gave me the ability to do the things that I wanted to do. I'm the one with the blonde hair, by the way. That was back in the day. I got to just dance around, and for that to be my job, I got to just enjoy every single day of doing random stuff. The next one that you're about to see goes to the extent of how random that could be. I would find myself covered in food. I would find myself being a dancer in a video games advert for a dance mat. I would just find these crazy things as if from nowhere, and like has already been said, that kind of just came from meeting people and starting to understand myself. However, I got bored of being injured. This was probably my last dance injury, where I almost broke my collarbone, and I didn't actually, so I didn't get as much sympathy as I would have liked. But it occurred to me that maybe actually that's not the thing I'm designed to do, even though it's the thing that I want to do. So I found myself expanding where I was and expanding what I was doing, thankfully with Small Petit Klein Dance Company. This was us on a plane to Brazil, for example, because that's just the kind of random things that you get to do when you grow up and be an adult. But it allowed me to not just be a dancer or a tutor, but also to become a producer, to work as part of these tiny teams. This was us in New York, because we went there as well. And getting to just understand on the job how to do things, it became quite common for us to talk about find the Harry Potter manuscript. If you've ever seen the film Devil Wears Prada, that was every day. You need to find the Harry Potter manuscript. You just need to make things happen. And my last job before I moved to V&A Dundee, I was the manager for the Youth Arts Hub for Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, and that was the first time I got to properly look beyond just dance, and that was all art forms for young people 0 to 25. And around the time I was leaving there, I thought, well, it's time to get married and lay down some roots and become a proper adult now, because you're doing proper adult jobs. So that's what I did. But interestingly for me, when I first came to Dundee in 2001 to be a student, I didn't think this is the place that I would end up. But now here is one of my two dogs in the house that we own, that we now wear rings to signify that we are proper adult and adults. And it was an interesting thing that it was a city that just kept drawing me back, and actually to be in this place now that is expanding every single day and has opportunities like this one just to speak to people who are actually supporting the next generation is great. That's my other crazy dog as well. That's Jasper. He will lick your mouth if you don't protect yourself. But it's lovely just to have this normality that exists at home, so that then when I go to work every day, it feels like that becomes a bit normal as well. But it's not in any way. As Gillian mentioned, the last few weeks have been some of the busiest in my life. I've been in post since April in 2017, and we thought that was going to be enough time to prepare ourselves. This was from my Apple Watch on the day of opening. As you can see, I walked 10 miles that day and did 22,000 steps. I thought that was going to be the busiest day we had. That's not the case. Lots of days are 10 miles and 22,000 steps, because there is a lot to be done. There is a lot of expectation, and isn't that lovely? But with that expectation, I can also do things that are really fun. So one of my programs is Friday Music, where we can invite musicians in to just animate the space for no reason other than, isn't it nice to have some music in a museum, and give these kind of musicians an opportunity whilst they're there? I think it is. One of the other parts of my programme is the Designer in Residence studio. It means that we can bring designers into the museum. We can give designers the opportunity to take time out of adult life, try things, research, go through ideas with absolutely no expectation of a product at the end of it. Similarly, we have massive events like our first Tail 8, which happened last week, where almost 1,000 people came into the museum on a Friday evening. This was inspired by our first exhibition, our first touring exhibition, Ocean Liners, and kind of turned that idea onto its head. So we had jazz music, we had cabaret, we also had a drag prince. One of the other things that is going to be coming up in the new year, this isn't just random, one of the programmes I'm looking at is for people to consider why they have opinions, and this programme is called #DesignFail. So it's not enough to say that you don't like something, let's find out why you don't like it, and also how can we fix it. But I'd like this one to finish on because for me, being a part of something that is part of Dundee's future feels really important. And we do not, I speak on behalf of all of us that work there, don't take that for granted. We get really excited every day when we walk into that building. And then when we walk out and see what is happening in the city, we're proud to be a part of that. Thanks very much.
That's great. Thank you so much, Alan. Wow, what a way to end off. So I think that's our talks out of the way. But I've not actually prepped the speakers, but maybe if you've got any questions, they might actually answer them, if you've got any questions at all. Or we could just stop and you could just ask them. That probably sounds better. Yeah. It's quite a daunting space, this, actually, when you turn around. And I think that was the other thing. Everybody maybe thought they were in a lecture theatre, and I didn't quite tell them we were going to be here and it's all exposed and things, but it's a lovely space. So I just want to say a few quick sort of thanks, and then I'll pass back over to Rachel. I just want to say huge thanks to all of our speakers tonight. I'm sure you agree that we've heard a real breadth of like creative industry talent across, just across everything really, across the city, across different disciplines. And for me, somebody that went to this very fine Dundee and Angus College when it was just Dundee College and it wasn't here, it was at Graham Street, and kind of found my way through that route. I think it's really fascinating to hear the career journeys, and I think we've got a few senior pupils here. So I think at school I probably wasn't expected to go on to do much, but it's turned out all right, thankfully. So, and I think we've all got our kind of own routes in, and so what we're really keen to do at Creative Dundee is help show that. So if you've got any questions or you want to kind of hook in what your school's doing, have it amplified to the rest of the world, then we can do that. Just get in touch. If you're free next Tuesday night and want to come along to a larger event like this, Pechakucha Night, we'll be doing that at Dundee Rep Theatre. So if you go to creativedundee.com, you can check out that. It'll also be live streamed, but it's great to kind of witness it there. But I just want to say a huge thank you to our speakers and ask you to join us. Thank you, speakers. Thanks to everybody at Dundee and Angus College, including you guys, because they've totally pulled out of the bag tonight. Thank you very much. Yeah, and to all our wonderful stall holders over there, please do go and say hello to them. Thanks very much, and we'll see you soon. So I'll pass back over to our partners in crime, the Developing Young Workforce team. So Rachel, over to you.
Thank you very much, Gillian. This is just something that we do. We've been doing large-scale events like this and small-scale ones as part of Developing Young Workforce for 2 and a bit years now. And we really, really want to thank the industry professionals. You know what, you've given up your evening and your afternoons to come and help with this. And I don't think you realise how much impact you have on teachers, on pupils in school or students in college. So we have certificates. I've realised I'm kind of missing hands. So I have a lovely assistant. It's all grand. So first of all, we've got Annie. So thank you for sharing your story. Thanks, Annie. Now we've got Bitlu. Thank you very much, boys. Louise. Thank you. Puny astronaut, Erin. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Alan from the D&E. Thank you. Thank you, lovely assistant, and thank you. We just want to recognise that you have given up a lot and you've shared your journey, which for some people is a really big deal. So please display them with pride in your office or use them as a mouse mat. We don't really mind. So this is not only a Pechacucha night tonight, this is a teach meet. This is an idea that we've stolen from America, where teachers have the opportunity to come together and share their experiences, share their knowledge, and improve each other's practice. So not only do you have the value of other teachers here in the room, we've got some students you can ask, and we have industry professionals. But this evening, we also have information from DJ CAD, Dundee Uni, the ACES programme. We have Dundee and Angus College, both their computing and creative media department and their art department, and we've got Abertay, where several of our guests are graduates from. Please, please, please go and ask them about the progression routes and the qualifications and skills that your students can get. And quite a lot of them also have opportunities where they can come into school and work with you teachers, work with your pupils, and vice versa. And if that isn't enough to get you to stay, we have tea and coffee and biscuits at the back. Thank you so much, everyone. We really do appreciate you coming. Please, please, social media, creative, TM, hashtag, get to know each other, come and ask us any questions you might have. Thank you very much.